Go ahead.
Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. Helping Parents Heal goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non dogmatic way. Helping Parents Heal affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Zoom meetings run by leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of Helping Parents Heal meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with our children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you've joined us this evening, and thank you, Jacob, for being here.
Yes, thank you, Jacob, for being here. And we are very excited to have all of you here. Tonight will be such a nice meeting, just very calming to be able to do this guided meditation and then also have your questions answered. I'm going to read Jacob's very short bio that we have so that you know just a little bit more about him. He's such an old soul in a young body. And he spoke at our last Helping Parents Heal conference. Passionate about promoting healing, Jacob L. Cooper, best-selling author of Life After Breath and The Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder, is a near-death experiencer and sought-after speaker on mental health and spirituality consciousness, offering elevating seminars and individualized services to help others find purpose and connect to their inner power. And his website is www.jacoblcooper.com. I'll put that in the chat box. And without further ado, please join me and Irene in welcoming the very wonderful Jacob Cooper. Welcome, Jacob.
Okay, thank you so much, Elizabeth and Irene, and thank you all for showing up. And just for a minute, if you could just validate yourselves for being in this chair. Right now, I know it might have taken, a couple of twists and turns and, things for you to get here in this chair, but you've arrived. And so really do thank yourself for showing up for yourself and the people around you. And I certainly am grateful for all of you being here, tonight, or if you're in the afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Forgive me, I'm on the East Coast, so for me, it's about 8 o'clock tonight. For those of you who are not familiar with myself, I've been with Helping Parents Heal for, gosh, a couple years, and each time I'm just so blessed to encounter each of the Shining Light participants. And I've been to heaven and back as a near-death experience, or the other side and back, but by seeing you, to me, that's the closest thing, just to see the light that you have, that you remember, and that you're connected to is something that really moves me to my core. But a little bit about myself. We had a talk, last month about near-death experiences and spiritual transformative experiences and a lot of different stuff. And we thought it would be good, to segue and to continue that for those who might have been on the talk. It is on YouTube, but you could join us here tonight where we, really include a guided meditation as well as some of the Q&A. But a little bit about myself, I've had a profound NDE or near-death experience. And so when you're familiar with NDEs, and this is certainly highlighted in my friend Dr. Raymond Moody's book, many, but not all, describe a light at the end of the tunnel that they experience. And certainly that's something that I had as a young child when I had mine. What's fascinating that I've really reflected on this past week, when I went to a beach and there was a beautiful dark tunnel and at the end of it was a light, I said, why do I have to wait until this light at the end of the tunnel? Why can't we light up the tunnel? Why can't we, do it right here and right now? And this lifetime is very much about that. This life is not yet, yes, it's reassuring, of course, to know that whenever the body goes, we go too. But also, that's possible to have in this life, that we all have a connection to a higher place, to a greater light. And I do believe a percentage of us, from being on the other side myself, is there. So I think, tonight is a really beautiful opportunity to understand that we don't have to have an NDE or any of this stuff. We could really utilize, bringing the light into our own life. And so meditation is a great way to do that. And, today, in just a couple of moments, we're going to have some music and some meditation. And a lot of people ask me, Jacob, you had a near-death experience. I haven't had that. So how do I connect to higher consciousness? How do I connect to the other side? And what I really have found in my own practice, and this has really been echoed by a lot of different intuitives, particularly one that I just visited in at Virginia Beach by the name of Edgar Casey, for who you're familiar with, is highlighted of music, how music, according to Casey, in my experience, could take you from the finite to the infinite, and particularly meditation music can do that. And I don't know about you, if you've been able to experience maybe not a full-blown experience, but maybe like a shift or a softness in yourselves when you're hearing some good music or some meditation music. And the beauty about meditation music is it really allows the brain waves to slow down so that we're in the more receptive places for consciousness to come in. As the quieter in some ways that our brain becomes, the more we could really hear between the two worlds. And so when I had my NDE, I really saw that my brain did not produce this light, but rather filtered it. And so, over the last couple of years, I've really leaned into taking care of my brain. And one of those ways to do it is to meditate. As much as, we feel like we're overly medicated, or we're overly meditated rather, not medicated, geez. My therapy mind is going off there. But I think it's kind of bombarded in our face a lot, but through the embodiment of it and the practice of it, you might be able to feel that shift and that gentle wind, that soft wind from a higher place enter your field of awareness. And it's a beautiful thing and reassuring. Once you taste it, you want a little bit more, and a little bit more. So that's the beauty of meditation. So I'm going to lead a guided meditation for you all, which, you could always go back to this video, and it's in the archives on YouTube, and you could reflect in it. And my hope is really could allow you, like I said, to not have to wait to that, end of the tunnel, but at any moment in time, knowing that you could illuminate all parts of yourself. And really that's a big part of this life, is learning unconditional love and how to not just love the convenient parts, but to go to those parts with awareness, with compassion, and to illuminate all parts of ourselves individually as well as collectively. And I feel if more people were to meditate, we'd have such a different world out there. And so I do validate each and every one of you here tonight for showing up. And I hope that this is helpful on your journeys, at the very least, hopefully relaxing too. So with that, Elizabeth's just going to play some gentle um, music in the background, and you could raise your hands if you're able to hear my voice too with the meditation music. Could you guys hear me a little bit? Maybe, okay, maybe the music a little bit lower.
Yeah, a little lower,
Okay,
Elizabeth.
yeah, okay. And this is some beautiful music. And Elizabeth is a yogi herself, so I trust what she's playing. She's been doing this for many lifetimes. So I'm just gonna ask you, if you can, to get comfortable wherever you are, if that's a chair, um, and I just want you to just reflect on yourselves at this moment. Reflect on who you are. how beautiful you are as a being, how resilient, how strong, and how bright your light is deep within. And so reminding ourselves that we are so much more than just this body. We're a body right now that's in a chair, that's in a room, that's in a house, that's in a county, that's in a state, that's in a country, on a beautiful spinning planet around the sun. And so we're so much more than we are with the physical eyes. And so now just allow yourself to see possibilities of so much more of ourselves beyond just the physical eyes. And so at this time, just take in a slow, deep breath in through your nose and inhale, inflate, and exhale through your mouth, deflate, and just listen to the sound of my voice guiding you at this time. And when you use your breath, breathe in your favorite color that comes to your mind. It could be a violet color, golden light, a white color, whatever that is. Breathe that color in and imagine that color is going to all parts of you. And breathe it in even through the top of your head, down to your shoulders. We hold so much of the weight on the world on our shoulders. Just feeling your shoulders, feeling loose and limp, going into your heart. And at this time, focusing on your feeling and your breath, understanding that there's a couple of inches between our brain and our heart, but sometimes it could feel miles away. And right now, just allowing your mind, your body, and spirit to become one, to become inseparable, to be interconnected, and having all the parts of yourself working together and getting unfragmented, feeling aligned, and focusing right now on the radiance of your heart. Take a slow, deep breath in right into your heart and imagine yourself feeling your heart, seeing your heart, focusing on all that you are, all that you love, and all that you are loved by. And really, to get in spirit, you have to be a little bit inspired. And right now, just allow yourself to feel what brings you inspiration, what brings you that little bit of joy, even if that's that droplet of joy. And just allow yourself to feel that in the depths of your heart. And take a slow, deep breath in and imagine every part of you has a nose to it and it's breathing in from the top of your head down to your feet. When you breathe that in to all cells of your body, and imagine each part now just has a mouth where it's exhaling. And you're breathing in this beautiful light to your heart and all parts of your body. And you give yourself permission to let go of what doesn't serve your greatest and highest good in the moment. And just allow yourself to just feel yourself in this chair from the bottoms of your feet on the floor to maybe your elbows, sitting on the chair to your back and spine, your lower back, your upper back. And maybe right now it's the first time today that you're aware of your body and all parts of it. And so getting expanded just beyond the thought energy, getting into the you beyond the you, and allowing this beautiful light to go into your solar plexus area. And right now, just allow yourself to focus on the inner bravery and strength and courageousness that you have and all that makes you who you are and the brilliant, strong, and courageous spirit that you are. And allow your solar plexus to soften and loosen and feeling yourself even more anchored with your feet on the ground and feeling your brain and your mind opening and relaxing, loose and limp, and now allowing this wave of relaxation to go into your stomach, right into your liver, into your hips, and just feel it flowing down into your legs like a stream of water, and just allowing all the things that you need in this moment to be taking in that uplift your spirit. And you breathe it in for just a couple of seconds and hold it in your chest and your body. So you inhale and you inflate like a balloon. Then once you reach the top, you slowly exhale and you deflate and allow all that stress, tightness, and heaviness of the mind and the body to let go, recognizing that you deserve peace, for you are peace deep at your core, the eternal, infinite light of joy and peace. That is the you beyond the you. And now at this time, just feeling this flow of light going into the lower parts of your legs and to the bottoms of your feet. So at this time right now, you feel your toes on the ground, and even you can move around your toes and feeling the appreciation for the earth and all the sensual pleasures of Mother Earth, recognizing the symbiotic relationship and the partnership that we have, and the gratitude for the planet. Recognizing ourselves as just kind of like trees, just as the trees breathe us in, we breathe in the trees and we breathe out into the trees. We are interdependent on the earth in this life, and we give a lot of gratitude for Mother Earth, otherwise known as Mother Gaia, at this time, and feeling the bottoms of your feet planted, strong, and anchored, and feeling yourself on this chair. And you might feel that naturally your shoulders go a little bit back, your chest stands out, and you're feeling a sense of anchoredness and groundedness and openness. Your bottom of your body feels a little bit heavier, and the top part is starting to feel a little bit lighter. You might even feel spinning discs around you or some water energy. If you do feel water energy going up, that's beautiful. You want to have a cool head and bring that water energy up, feeling that ocean or that wave of water going into your head and feeling the earth and the fire going down into your core, into your feet, into your gut, into your solar plexus. So you have an open heart, a warm heart, and an open mind. And now at this time, visualize a beautiful candle that's right in the middle of your forehead. Feel a soft white glow of this candle and feel the warmth that this candle has. And just imagine that this candle is melting away all the tension that you're holding in your brain and in your mind. And you feel your brain softening by this luminescent light. Just your brain feeling relaxed, feeling that sense of inner joy, and feeling your brain just slow down. And so your awareness increases as your brain just lets go. When you let go, your awareness will grow. By letting go, awareness and flow will grow. And now, right now, you're in the flow. And so imagine right now you're walking in a beautiful wooded forest. You feel the beautiful earth under your skin. You feel the ground and all the sensual pleasures around you and all the scents around you and sounds. And the sun is shimmering on your skin. And you see yourself right now just smiling. And you go up to a beautiful redwood tree that you see in front of you with its roots deeply grounded and anchored into the earth, but its beautiful branches reaching up to the heaven, recognizing that you are that redwood tree. You are deeply anchored in this earth, but brilliant and connected to the upper etherical energies. And right now, just see the beautiful light going through the canopies of the tree and shining down on your skin. And seeing that light as who we all are, what we're all forever connected to. No separation, windows without walls, just completely connected to this beautiful light. And just take your arms, and you could even hug this tree, literally or metaphorically, and allowing this love of this tree and this nurturance to go into you. And you breathe it in just for a couple of moments. Inhale, inflate. Inhale. By inhaling, you get in spirit, and exhale. Breathe out, allowing yourself to rise even higher. And just letting out any of your weariness of the day or things that you don't need. Just as in physical senses, this tree gives you what it needs and it recycles what you don't need. Just allow yourself to let go of all those things that you don't need and bringing in room for the new, allowing all spaces that need to be filled with this beautiful light surrounding your beautiful and radiant being. And now at this time, you're feeling all of the force and strength and beauty of this tree, but it's just merely a reflection of who you really are, a brilliant, eternal light that will never stop, that will go on far beyond this physical body. And so now at this time, you could take both of your palms when you're ready, when you feel called, or you could use your mind's eye and just place both your hands on your heart and feel your heart filled with love and focusing on what you feel, allowing the mind to do what it does, just like watching a passing body of water, just observing what happens, but not absorbing, and getting beyond the surface of the waters of the mind and getting to the deeper essence of the self, the you beyond the you. And right now, just feeling a sense of validation for the strength that you are, seeing the real shining you, and allowing all parts that may feel a little bit sore or achy. Allow yourself to go there, to shine that light, bringing in all this energy that's coming through you, that needs that recharge, that needs the healing. Just as the body needs nutrients right now, we could also give ourselves soul nutrients so that it could blossom, grow, and flourish, and we could live a soulful existence while we're in the body. We could remember who we are. And so, right now, just give yourself a couple of moments, and my voice will be there with you in just a minute or two. But just allow yourself to validate yourself for showing up at this moment and validate the beauty that you are. And at this time, you might even feel other things around you. It might be a guide, a loved one, or it just may be a feeling of love, and that is more than enough. Just allow all things to come into your awareness, getting back into your heart and focusing on love, being connected to it, allowing yourself to marvel at the strength, beauty, wisdom, and courage that you have and will continue to go on far beyond this moment, this beautiful moment in time that we have. But just give yourself a few moments to just be still with your heart, with this light, with this radiance shining throughout all parts of your being. Imagine a beautiful color surrounding your entire being that no ill or harm can penetrate. Just allowing this beautiful shield to be around your entire being in this bubble of light that we all are. Just sit there for a couple of moments and I'll guide you back. You're doing great. Every day in every way, you're all getting better and better. Validate that. Know that. Breathing in, through a couple of moments and breathing out. And slowly, couple more breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. When you're ready, just allow yourself to take a step back from that redwood tree, noticing that you can forever come back to this tree at any moment in time and visit it to be restored, to just pivot or to uplift your spirit, taking that gentle shift that we all need in our life. And now at this time, coming back down through the beautiful path that you just walked, down into the tops of your head, down to your throat, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, your rib cage, your hips, your legs, your knees, and your feet on the ground. And now just start to feel your body move around very mindfully and slowly. And just take a notice for what you feel inside. Maybe a little bit of a shift or a softness that may happen within your body. Maybe more of a flow, a relaxation, or an ease about yourself that was maybe a little bit different a couple of moments before we started this. Reminding yourself that this light that you have, not only could you illuminate this tunnel, but you could also help everyone that you encounter to also walk through this life, as indeed all this life is just walking each other home, as Ram Dass said, reminding each and every one of us of who we are, and to wake up, to remind ourselves we're an infinite spirit, having this unique human experience. And when you're ready, you could slowly open up your eyes and just seeing your surroundings a little bit shifted. Maybe feel a sense of connection to some of the colors in your room or things that you maybe didn't notice before. And the higher you go, the more you can always see. And I hope you enjoyed and got something from that brief guided meditation. And know that you could always come back to this video whenever you want to, as well as share as anyone who could benefit. So hopefully you guys are all there, and some of you are asleep. That's okay too. Maybe you need that, but hopefully you could start to wake up your body, and yeah, I could see a shift in the energy. That's beautiful. And so at this time, give yourself a minute or two, maybe take a drink of water. And we figured the second half of our time together would be maybe some questions that you have about near-death experiences, the afterlife, spiritual transformative experiences, potentially even some of the work that I do and past life regression stuff, or, even if it's a mental health related question, as long as that's okay with the group leaders, I'm okay with that as well. But yeah, let Elizabeth take the baton. Uh,
Thank you. I think that the most important thing first is to explain to everyone. First, I just want to say that that meditation was wonderful. I feel so relaxed, and it's just so nice to do those with you, Jacob. It was really a wonderful experience. And I think that for people who are here, if they don't know about your talk about spiritually transformative experiences, maybe
Mhm.
you could just do a little resume. Tell us what a near-death experience is,
Sure.
what shared death experience is, what an after-death communication is, so that we can then maybe talk a little bit about those
Mhm.
things that you talked about in your last presentation, which would be wonderful. Is that okay?
Absolutely. What do you guys think? That's cool. Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, it's a wonderful point, and forgive me for taking assumption that you guys were at my last talk, or some people might have heard these terms, but excellent to do that. For those of you who aren't familiar with a near-death experience like I've had, or otherwise known as an NDE, is when your body, really is compromised or flatlined and not working, but there's a part of you that goes on. And so a lot of times near-death experiencers, like myself, do experience life on the other side, and they might have experience with people like that, like angels behind me or loved ones on the other side, or at the very least, knowing that that there's a you beyond the you, and we go on, and we're not just all of this physical material. And so, certainly, if you're wanting to learn more about near-death experience, the coin was turned by a man that I mentioned earlier on, Dr. Raymond Moody, who I have to give all the credit of the world for making that terminology. So, if you want to learn a little bit more about NDEs, he wrote a book in 1975 called Life After Life, which really highlights a lot of different case studies and different descriptions of what quantifies as NDEs. And so he really gave it in layman's terms, and he could probably do it a lot better than I can. But from being there myself, it's, your body is compromised and flatlined, but a part of you goes on. Spiritual transformative experience is fascinating to me. That in many ways could just be something that happens to you that shifts your consciousness. And certainly many of you, here today might have shifted your awareness, throughout something that's happened to your life. But it could be anywhere from a gentle wind that you feel from spirit that just reminds you of who you are, to maybe seeing a sign and symbol when you didn't believe in this stuff. So spiritual transformative experiences allow us to have that taste from the finite to the infinite, and it shifts, the trajectory of how we see reality. And once you have these experiences, however we see them, they could be profound in their nature, and allows us to see this planet that we're living on that could totally seem like a much different planet in so many ways. So out of body experience, another one is when, we have, the body, but we have this part of us that goes on beyond the body. That's something that I've had in my early 20s, where you feel that there's a part of you existing beyond the body. And so sometimes people could feel themselves leaving their body. Oftentimes they feel a sense of a silver cord that they do feel. If you want to learn a little bit more about out of body experiences, I highly recommend checking out the book as well as the movie by my birthday twin named Shirley MacLaine. She had a profound, out of body experiences when she was meditating in Peru, I believe. And so that was a little bit of astral travel as well, with out of bodies experiences where the silver cord doesn't break, but it could go on. And in Shirley's case, she was able to go to different planets, and she's able to just instantaneously come back to her body. And so that's one. Shared death experience is another. I know Elizabeth, has had one herself, but that's usually when, it could be a pet or a loved one is transitioning, and we feel a part of ourselves joining that loved one on their journeys. And there's different degrees of all these things. Some people feel themselves really going with that loved one to the other side, and other people just may feel just this wave of peace over them, in the room. So it's just this kind of taste of the other side that you have when a loved one that you have crosses over, and you feel, very much joined by that loved one. um, and so those are some, and so terminal lucidity is another one where maybe loved ones, um, that we know of are about to go on, but they're able to have these experiences by connecting to their loved ones before they transition to the other side. They may describe loved ones waiting for them, or hands reaching out to them, or angels, within the room. So, that is, it's called a it's kind of like deathbed visitations or shared death experiences that people do have. And, I'm sorry, a terminal lucidity, excuse me, is something that people have when they are about to go, but then consciousness, continues on, and they're able to have these connections. So those are some of the abridged version of these things, and I hope that was able to highlight some understanding of these things, and I hope this certainly was helpful. And maybe, who knows, one of you sitting here today happened to had one of these. I think it's important to spell these out, because I had an NDE, but I didn't know what it was until I read a book by an author named Betty Eadie that gave me the understanding that, whoa, this was uh and she wrote a book called Embraced by the Light, but this was something that other people had. There was a term for it. And so I think it's a very important to spell these things out so that maybe ourselves can understand that we've had these things or just understanding these things. But I want to preface that you don't have to have these things in general to really connect to spirit or to transform. By doing stuff that we did today, and just allowing ourselves to use the mind kind of like a parachute, it works when it's open, really allows us to really allow spirit to be more in partnership with their journey. And so you don't have to go through all the trauma that I went through. And so Irene asks, could you share your experience of what heaven looked like when you had your NDE? Yeah, thank you for asking that. Um, the fascinating part of about near-death experiencers is, for instance, we have the sun, and the colors that we have in this earth are really based on the different colors of the sun. When you go on the other side, the colors that you have aren't kind of here. They're based on the light on the other side, so to speak. So it's different. It's a different like kind of octave of color over there. But the closest thing that I could say, and what's important that I had in my NDE that I really understood, is that there was a part of me when I crossed over that felt like I was a million miles away, but then there was also a part of me that knew that the other side is all over here. And so when I crossed over and I had my near-death experience, I experienced so many angels that are all around us that were floating right in front of me. And I was very much connected to the angelic realm. And they were just literally hundreds of angels floating right in front of me. And that taught me something that day moving forward that, heaven, is not like somewhere like that we have to take a spaceship to thousands of miles away and we could like get to this place. It can be, but it's right here in the depths of our heart, in our inner light, and right overlaying this reality. And all you need to do is just have a little shift within your consciousness and you could experience these things. But I would say, heaven to me was very much connected to the angelic realm and the light realm that I experienced. It was very much, if I could have a color to describe it, very much gold in its nature. That was, the realm that I experienced. But it was more of a feeling than anything. It was more of a sense of euphoria beyond comprehension. I mean, we're used to in this reality, needing to do something to feel something and or having a sense of a cap with how good we can feel. And when I was in heaven, there was no end in sight with how good I felt at those moments. I was just shooting up higher and higher to endless euphoria and love, and that's something that I'll forever take with me. And so, um, I hope some of that, resonates or makes sense. But at the very least, knowing that we don't have to like leave the body thousands of miles away to get to heaven, we could just open up our mind's eye just a little bit and start to see these droplets all around us, which is really reassuring for a lot of people in many ways.
That is really reassuring. And I just want to say that a lot of our parents channel their children. And
Mhm.
as many of you know, Susan and Bill Van Oij channel their son Greg. And he was just giving them a roadmap today of how to find heaven
Mhm.
while we're here. And one of those things, one of the most important things about finding heaven here on earth is to be able to leave that grief behind. He calls it Grief City. And so being able to move into the joy, into the light, into the happiness
Mhm.
will allow us to be able to be to experience what they're experiencing on the other side, which is very
Mhm.
exciting to me. And I'm sure that all of you will love reading this article as well. But I wanted, Jacob, maybe you could just explain to everyone. I know it's a very difficult thing to explain, but about your own near-death experience, what happened, because I don't think that you explained exactly what happened last time
Mhm.
too. It was when you were very young. I think you were
Mhm.
5 years old, is that right?
It was September of 1993, so I'm going on, let's see, I'm bad with math, but almost like my 33rd anniversary of that period this September. And coincidentally, I had my out of body experience around 20 years later in the month of September. So September is always an auspicious and special month for me. And Earth, Wind, and Fire, Remembrance September. I'll never forget September. But I had mine as a result of pertussis as just a young child, and I completely suffocated when I went to a playground with family friends. I was in a playground, completely suffocated, nothing to hold on to. And so I lost all parts of my humanness, if you will, because I think the breath keeps us in many ways in this body. And I just surrendered to this eternal light, this eternal breath of eternity. And I just rose beyond my body and had a full crossing over experience where I experienced, I saw my guardian angels, my loved ones. I saw angels in front of me. I was aware of different lifetimes and the work that I would be doing. And I was aware of the creative source of all of life itself, which to me in its DNA is rooted in unconditional love and understanding the highest possible form and beyond more. And it just was the most beautiful gift that I had. And I say gift is because it took me a while to see it as that. I mean, obviously there was an immense amount of trauma, and it certainly made life a little bit more complicated as a young kid to because kids are just trying to get used to from the other side and, learning again how to be human. And all of a sudden that goes out the window and you're reminded like, oh my God, like this is all just kind of like a play. And I'm an eternal spiritual being. And yeah, I mean, my parents technically created me and I'm connected to them, but I come from this light of God, we're all interconnected. And so it was, led to some complexities to a degree. But once I recognized, as Pablo Picasso said, that the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of it is to give it away. And by sharing my experience when I recognized that really this was not just for me to hold on to, but the gift was really allowing people to remember who they are by hopefully hearing this story and living proof that, consciousness survives death and we do go on in a way. And that's been the most rewarding experience that I can have. And so I do thank you for allowing me to share a little bit, some of the highlights of my NDE. To me, it's a double-edged sword, for a while, but now I am eternally grateful for that experience. And it taught me the real power of surrender, how sometimes we go through life and we just try to muscle our way through it. But by surrender, we're not giving up on life, we're giving in to the beautiful light and power and all the forces that are around us at all times that we just have to tap into. And so I think there, certainly my books highlight, different rungs of Jacob's ladder, so to speak, of how we could, understand some of my NDE and how that could speak to some of the situations that you're in your life. But at the very least, reminding ourselves that we're here to really learn unconditional love and to remember who we are and to learn a lot of self-compassion for ourselves. And so that's just some of the, bullet points and highlights of it. But the cool news is I decided to stay on and life, I'm not a cat, but I had a couple lives in this lifetime, so that's pretty cool.
It's pretty amazing. And it's also very reassuring for our parents to
Hmm.
be able to hear um, how wonderful this experience was for you, in spite of the fact that it was actually very terrifying to
Hmm.
stop breathing.
Hmm.
But you were immediately met by all of these winged angels. You
Yeah.
were on the other side. You were
Hmm.
experiencing something that you didn't understand because you were so young, but it was very
Right.
beautiful. And Eric is asking, what is the best way to quiet the mind and get into a meditative state? I
Hmm.
really struggle with
Hmm.
getting quiet and slowing down my mind.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's a great
device.
question. Yeah, it's a great question. The mind is going to do what the mind does in a way. The mind has a lot of chatter, and it could be a little bit scattered sometimes. But I do believe in many ways the quality of your life becomes the quality of your focus. And so kind of visual it like a radio station, where in the radio station, there's like hundreds of stations going on at once. But meditation to me is really about a focus. And when we're able to really habituate focus to be of love, of higher consciousness, or there's many different forms of meditations. I think that that is the key, is to really not to try to fight the mind, but really allow it to kind of do its thing, but to kind of focus, redirect our focus and pivot on something that will allow us to be more grounded. And so, for some people, what elevates the spirit is different than others. And so I would just say start focusing on the things that bring you joy and love, and amplify those things and allow all those things to really enter your body. But everyone's a little bit different. Like some people, they need more of an active kind of thing because they have more of an active mind. And so I suggest like going for a walk, or even kind of shaking your head kind of like a snow globe, and allowing some of those particles to slow down so that you could kind of reset and get back to equanimity. But I would say experimentation, but also letting go of self-analysis, because self-analysis could lead to self-paralysis in many ways, and just allowing yourself to focusing not on the doing part of meditation, but rather allowing it to enter the being part, which is non-judgmental observation, and just allowing those thoughts to kind of do their thing, your mind to do its things, but to get in touch with the you beyond the thought, beyond the emotion, beyond all these things that are just kind of on the surface, if that makes sense.
That's beautiful. And I would, let's see, Pam is asking a question. Often NDErs
Mhm,
bring back a spiritual or a psychic gift.
mhm.
Why is that?
That's a fascinating question. Yeah, it is common
Mm,
for a lot of people to do that. I think in the way, hmm, it could be one of many things. I mean, to me, what I could say is that a lot of times when you have an NDE, that could really impact, your neurochemistry. And so, the brain is a lot more open in a way. And so when the brain is a lot more open, consciousness is able to step in, but also just a part of you crosses over and takes that with you and remembers that part and is able to cultivate, that part in the way. I think sometimes we just kind of forget that part, and we, like an NDE, we're able to remember who we are. Is we're all intuitive spiritual beings. So I think a lot of people who have these things are able to bring back what they recall about themselves in the language that they speak on the other side, which is just, telepathy, intuition. They're able to do that. But from a neurophysiological standpoint, because I'm, that kind of guy too, I do think a lot of it has to do with changes in the neurophysiology in people, and how, the brain, really might shift in a way from having these things. Certainly when I had my NDE, I was able to feel this sliver of light afterwards when I got back to school entering my brain. And so I just kind of was able to feel that shift. But I think we all have the ability to intuit. You don't have to have an NDE to be an intuitive. Certainly you can. It's really just about fine tuning that skill and getting in tune with who you are, and the language of your soul in a way. I do believe intuition is a language of the soul. And when you have NDEs, you're able to get more in touch with your soul in many ways, and you're able to bring that back. And the byproduct of that gift is the language of it, which is intuition.
beautiful. And you are obviously a very old soul right now, Jacob, as we always say. But when you had your near-death experience when you were so young,
Mhm.
was it something that you understood and that you accepted immediately, or did it take a while?
It's something that I certainly understood because it was my soul that was having this, but I kept it very private. Like I wasn't. I know some people have seen the movie Heaven is for Real. If you haven't, it's a pretty good movie, but a lot of in that movie, the kid had like this child in the movie had a near-death experience and was very vocal about it. And so Um, some people are like that in life. When something profound happens to them, they'll share it with everyone. And other people, it'll take time. But near-death experience research is pretty much spot on with what happened to me, where if you read the work of some of the research, it'll tell you that it takes around 2 to 3 decades for infants to really fully cultivate their experiences. And that is pretty spot on with what happened to myself. And so I always knew what happened to me, but I didn't go around telling people. I'll give a story where I came up to my father one day and I said, "Hey, Dad, remember when I was rushed by the ambulance to the hospital? Something happened that day, but right now you're not gonna understand, but one day you will." And so when you think about it, kids have a hard time verbalizing as it is, And so then when you ask them to use a lexicon and terms that aren't able to describe the other side, that's a hard task. And so just because you see it, not only over there, but over here, doesn't mean that it's not there. And so kids in the way might give a little bit of the surface, externally, but doesn't mean there's not a lot going on beyond the surface that they're able to just processing or that are internalizing. So I hope that makes sense in a way. But it didn't change. I always knew what happened to me, but the ability and the licensure to go out with it, that took a little bit of time.
That's very interesting. I know that Ingrid Honkala, it took her
Hmm.
a long time to
Hmm.
verbalize what had happened to her. I think it was she was 4 years old
Hmm.
when she drowned, and
Yeah.
then was able to go to the other side, see these beings of light. And it was such a beautiful experience for her,
Hmm.
terrifying for her mother, terrifying for her sister, obviously. But ultimately, it did give her a lot of gifts as
Hmm.
well, that she wouldn't have necessarily had
Hmm.
otherwise. And again, you are one of the oldest souls that I know. And how old are you now, Jacob? You're
I'm
30.
I'm getting my AARP card soon, but no. I turned 35 in April,
Okay,
April
yes,
24th. So, but
35.
yeah, and just to preface, yeah, it's a good point you're making. There's a body, sure, but there's an infinite soul that all of our, kids have and all that we have, and that's who we are is a soul within this body. But I think in a way, I work as a therapist now, and I specialize a lot in doing exposure therapy. And I look at the universe or God or having these NDEs at the ultimate exposure therapy for people. And if you're familiar with exposure therapy, it's kind of like not shying away from the things that we're fearing, but taking steps towards that. For me, the ultimate fear that a lot of people have is suffocation or death. And so I was able to have that and go there firsthand and to see that there's really nothing to fear. It's just temporary turbulence and you're able to go on. And I hope that's reassuring to some of you to really understand between myself and now around 5 to 10% of the population that are having these, that we're able to go to the thing that most of us fear, and we've been there, came back, and it could tell you that we go on, consciousness survives. And so not only are we doing that, but we're also doing public speaking, which is also a top 5 fear. So I'd say you want to become fearless, address your fears, and you'll be unstoppable.
That's amazing. You're right. Public speaking is something that most
A
people
lot of
don't
people,
really like
yeah.
to do.
Hmm.
And when something like this happens, when a spiritually
Hmm.
transformative experience happens, all you want to do is be able to tell other people about it, because it's
Hmm.
just so important that you let them
Hmm.
understand that this lifetime here is all about love,
Hmm.
all about kindness, and that's what we're here to do, is to love each other and to be kind to each other. And I just wanted to ask everyone before we sign off, because we have a few more minutes, did
Hmm.
anyone want to describe their meditation? And did anyone connect with their child in spirit when you were going through the meditation? Or do you have anything that you would like to say about them? The meditation that I absolutely loved. And I'm sorry about the
You
music.
have a great voice.
I'm
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
sorry.
did.
Your voice is very calming for the meditation. It was beautiful.
Oh,
That's
thank you, Irene. Yeah, yeah. I hope you all were able to feel a little bit something during that, and at the very least, a little bit more relaxed, I hope. Yeah.
I think everyone was. And it really is nice to be able to, especially after a very busy day and
Hmm.
scheduling lots of exciting things for helping parents heal. Speaking of which, we're going to be having Dr. Linda Bachman and her husband, Dr. Earl Bachman, in a few weeks. Jacob just got certified as a past life regression therapist. So maybe you could just tell us what that means,
Hmm.
so that people will
Hmm.
understand.
Yeah, well, it was with past life. I've been certified for several years, but I was able to be certified in between life soul regression, which is wonderful. And past life, Elizabeth is right, is a part. Past life regression is an aspect of between life soul regression, but it's kind of like an appetizer before the big meal, if you will. And between life soul regression just essentially regresses us to, our lives on the other side. And it goes back to the part that, we planned in terms of choosing the body, the circumstances, the themes that we've had and more. So it's a beautiful way to understand who we are, why we're here, and what some of the greater understanding to the soul's purpose that we have, as well as the soul's essence, as terms of where do we really come from in the spirit realm. So it is fascinating. I am starting to do some client sessions as we speak, and I've even had a practice session with a client that was a shining light client, and they were able to really connect to their shining light child on the other side as a part of their life, between life soul regression, and it was profound. But do highly recommend checking that out, as well as Linda just had a new book called Soul Design, which I was very fortunate to design, as well as checking out the work of Dr. Michael Newton, who has really allowed the mainstream awareness of life between life soul regressions. But it is profound, and really another way to understand that we don't have to wait till the body goes to remember who we are, that this awareness, this field of awareness is accessible to all, that we could all connect to this, steepened sense of awareness.
So beautiful that you can do this now and that you can lead people into between life regressions, which is really an exciting thing to do. And I know that people are going to be looking forward to connecting with you for that. And we always ask everyone to unmute and say thank you and good evening. So if you guys would like to do that, Irene, did you have something you wanted to
No,
say?
just thank you, Jacob. It's always a pleasure to have you on. We
It's
love
so
you. We
wonderful to have
appreciate
you
you.
on.
Thank you.
Tonight was
Thank
just
Thank
so
you.
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
Jacob.
Thank you,
This was
Jacob.
wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank
Jacob.
you.
Everybody.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye,
Thank you for
Jacob.
being here. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.